piss drinkers of the world, unite over motherfucking bootleg fireworks from Baxter. They are double IPA, and they released for the second time this year. And I believe it just came out, I think, online. I didn't see any reviews that were over 10 days old. They haven't even officially had release parties or anything for this beer. It has a very ridiculous can that makes it look like it's Four Loko or some kind of energy drink or just canned cotton candy or something. And they very clearly state that it's a double India Pale Ale brewed with 7 hop varieties, only one of which I am not very familiar, the Millennium hops, but all the other ones are Citra, Mosaic, Sriracha Ace, all West Coast bred, well, not bred, but West Coast grown hops, and then Galaxy, Ella, and Summer, all Australian hops that are very new. And I think I had a taste of this one last year, but I guess they changed it quite a bit for this year. It's still 9% alcohol, and last year they said the IBUs are like 138 or something ridiculous like that. I didn't find anything listing the IBUs about it this year. So hopefully it's not ridiculously bitter. But I'm not a huge fan of most of Baxter's releases in general. I don't really ever buy them. I've only ever tasted their stuff or had it for free, just because it's not my style exactly. It's not in tune with a lot of the hippest New England style pale ales and such that are coming out. Their Phantom Punch Stout I think is pretty good. It's like a coffee chocolate stout that's not too sweet and but still pretty full body. And their Coconut Almond Porter is okay, but it's kind of okay as a gimmicky beer. But I haven't enjoyed many of their hoppy offerings. But I'm kind of excited about this one, but it might just be because they list all these interesting hops that I'll love. But usually I'm not into IPAs that use so many different hop varieties. Usually I like it when they kind of just use a few really awesome ones. So we'll see what happens with this one, if it explodes like a bunch of motherfucking bootleg fireworks. Ooh, a little bit foamy there. I don't think it... Maybe I shook it up slightly just when I was showing you the can. There we go. Very pale. Pretty clear. That's one thing about all their beers, is they don't really leave too much yeast in there. Just a touch of a haze, but you can see the finger through there pretty well. Interesting aroma. It's not explosive, not quite a fireworks aroma, I would say. But it's got some intense pine resin, but then also a touch of sort of marshmallowy cotton candy happening in there too. Not a big juicy peach pineapple bomb sort of thing, but it does have a little bit of that very fermented, strong, resinous IPA quality that's a little bit more old-fashioned style that I guess I was kind of expecting. And the head is pretty soapy, but it's dying down pretty quickly. Light, medium light carbonation. Some this kind of boozy alcohol spice in there, but I mean it doesn't smell like medicinal or like nail polish remover or anything though. I think the flavor is where this beer is going to explode. We'll see. Ooh. Prickly. Pretty hot in the back end. Some juicy candy malts in there, and a cotton candy finish. It's interesting. It's got a pretty bitter finish, but then it's a cotton candy, fruity hard candy finish from the combination of some ample pale malts and all these hops they use. Maybe there's just a touch of green pepper. It's not quite the funky herbal garden scallion garlic thing that I get from some Southern Hemisphere hops. Nor is it the extreme peach juice explosion. I think that throwing all these hops together has ended up kind of slightly muddling the flavors, at least in the way that they do it. And you can see that the heads come down to a little cap. It's not quite the creamy, fluffy, rocky head like a lot of my favorite IPAs tend to have. And now it's getting quite bitter. But I feel like I had to give this beer a try, especially with all those kinds of hops thrown in. But it kind of fits the normal Baxter style. It seems like it's not focusing on extreme freshness and aroma. They were looking a little more for a clearer beer and bigger bitterness and a little bit of malt sweetness, and it's very good. I think a lot of people would be very happy with this beer. But it edges on this very yeasty, malty quality. It's not just pure hops. And you can tell I've only had a few sips of it. It's a little strong in the bitterness and the yeasty bite, but not quite juicy enough to bring me back constantly. But it does have a lot of different hop flavors. Definitely very bitter orange, very bitter grapefruit. That builds up. I don't know. I'm not really getting much peach or anything like that. Nor pineapple. I think it actually kind of reminds me of maybe like some Stone and Joy buys. That, I mean, it's a little, there's some kind of tropical element going on. But it's just, yeah, the alcohol and the bitterness is kind of taking over the finish quite a bit. And if you want something that's just big, bitter alcohol, but, you know, still fruity, nice hop flavor, but you just kind of want something that's just going to punch you in the back of the throat and rake your tongue a little bit, this is what you want to go for. But I like to have interesting flavors and aromas be at the forefront of my beers. And I'm just gonna give this like a 7. Just a 7 probably. It's really not anything too special to me. Maybe I was let down a little bit because of the exciting can and all the interesting hops they use, but they don't use them in a way that really lets them shine, in my opinion. And it ends up being just like what a really good IPA would have tasted like 10 years ago, even though they're using a bunch of hop varieties that didn't really exist back then. It's a little bit of a shame. Yeah, I don't know if I'm ever going to go back to Baxter now after this.